Welcome to this class on overcoming triggers. I'm your host and author Ron Ovitt, and I'm certainly glad that you're here with me today. You know, I can't hardly think of a more important course for you to take on overcoming habits than how in the world do you overcome these triggers. It's amazing to me how many people try to create new habits or change old ones, and yet they never stop to consider what trips them up. Instead, we go through this victim mentality that I don't know what happened. It just happened. All of a sudden, I'm there. And yet, if we do what we're going to be talking about today, we can analyze, we can figure out what some of our triggers are, and we can minimize the danger of relapse. And so I'm excited to bring this to you. You know, I'm a change agent. And my goal here is to really help you become your own change agent. You can do it. And so, you know, let's go through this together. You should have your PDF in front of you, right? The booklet in front of you. And so we can kind of go through it together. You can pause this video at any time and reread something if you have to. There'll be some places in here to check off. You can just pause the video and do that so we can work together on this. You see, habits don't pursue us 24/7. Rather, if you track your behavior, you'll find that your habit challenges are stronger at certain times than others. It's a mixture, you see, of time, places, people. You know, those things make up the perfect storm. And so it could be a person, it could be a place, it could be some kind of thing, right? Or it could be a certain time. And we want to be able to realize what are these triggers where we can do the appropriate things to change them. And you can gain a lot of ground in your quest to change your habits and crush your cravings if you focus on identifying your triggers and creating and rehearsing a plan ahead of time for managing them. But before we talk about managing triggers, let's talk about something that's really important here, and that is a mindset. I'm amazed at how many programs on habit change go on, and yet they never talk about our mindset. Mindset is an important concept here. You know, when you think of basketball and Michael Jordan, you know, Michael Jordan was a lot of things: a father, a businessman, a husband, a son, but he was also a basketball player. And when he went in that locker room and put on those shoes, you know, those basketball Air Jordans, right? He was in effect putting on a basketball state of mind. And he would go out on that court and he would be 100% basketball player. And that was that mindset. And you'll be surprised how many times we fall into this mindset. We fall into this mindset that all of a sudden we're seeking, you know, all of a sudden we're going after it. And then all of a sudden we relapse. You see, change isn't easy, or everyone would be doing it, right? They'd be successful at it. And a lot of problems is with our state of mind. We get used to the way we live, and it can be scary to get out of that state of mind. You know, I've seen people in situations where they've been teased, ridiculed, demeaned, and even abused who still do not want to change. And we have to realize that sometimes we're not in a basketball state of mind like Michael Jordan. We're in our trigger state of mind. We're in that, you know, state of mind that doesn't motivate us to change. We don't have that change mindset. And one of the reasons is because it's scary to change sometimes. You know, I've worked with homeless people. I'm a pastor, recovery coach, and I've worked in addictions and homelessness and that for years and years and years. And it doesn't cease to amaze me when I start to work with someone. You know, there's different stages of homelessness, and I warn people and I say, listen, when you get into the streets, that last phase, that last stage of homelessness, it is hard to break out. It becomes a state of mind. And I've taken people and I've put them in hotels before we could get them in a program, and by 2 in the morning, they're back out in the street. It is scary. They'd rather sleep on the porch with snow on them an inch thick and wake up the next morning rather than going and trying for change, going to a program. And that's how we are sometimes with the things we want to change. We've gotten used to our normal, and it's scary sometimes to break out of it. It can be scary. And that's where the fear of the unknown comes in. And it's ironic. We want to change, and yet we're afraid to. If we risk changing, then, things maybe get worse. Or what's worse than we're going to change and then we're going to fall back into our old habits and get ridiculed all over again. Or feel that sense of shame all over. There's different kinds of shame. I may feel somewhat shameful in what I'm doing now, but I'm used to that. I'm used to that kind of shame. But if I go and try to change and I don't do it, that's a whole other kind of humiliation and shame, and I don't want that anymore. I don't want that anymore, so why try? And you'd think we wouldn't get that way. But ask yourself, am I willing to change? Am I willing to put on a change mindset? We think it's better to be, safer and stay where we are. People have done that. Have you ever heard someone says, well, I don't want to fall in love again. I don't want to have my heart broken all over again. Or someone that doesn't attempt another kind of job because they already failed once. And you may say, Ron, you have to be kidding, right? But unfortunately, I'm not. It seems illogical, but the fear of change is very real. At least we think, I don't know how to survive out there if I change. I know how to survive now, but I'm not sure what the future may be, and I'm afraid. What if I fail again? But my friends, that's where faith comes in, right? Faith that God is going to help you. Faith that you can do it. Faith that others have done it and there's no reason. And faith that, yes, I may fail, but I'm going to get up again. And we get up again and again and again. Faith in yourself and your ability to cope, even if things don't work out. Listen, put on the change mindset. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Substitute the mindset that accepts the way things are for a change mindset that aligns with your plan to grow and learn and expand. You can do this. You don't have to fear the change. In fact, if you're going to fear anything, let's fear not changing. Now look at page 2, right in the middle there, and ask yourself, there's 2 columns, the current mindset, that things are okay here, there's no sense in rocking the boat, or a change mindset. Change is good. Change will allow me to grow, learn, and expand my horizon. I don't have to fear change. In fact, I should fear not changing. Circle the one that you're willing to commit to. And listen, what stops us many times is that we think this commitment to a change mindset is a pass-fail test, and it's not. It's not. It's a maturing process. It's a maturing process. There's going to be failure, but you're constantly getting better. You're getting up and down, and yet the trajectory is constantly going up. You're nudging your way forward. It's a growth process. It's an adventure that's bound for success. It's something that you can do. And so you need to look at having a change mindset that knows that there's going to be up and downs, and that's okay. That's a growth mindset. Let's look at a couple, like on page 3, right? Be an inventor. An inventor loves to see if they can make something work. An inventor loves to learn. They don't give up if it doesn't work out the first time. They love learning and see failure as a way to improve. That's a change mindset. It's exactly what we need here. Yes, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to look for my triggers. I'm going to really try to overcome them. And if I fail, guess what? I just found out one way that it doesn't work. And I'm going to improve on it. And you get remotivated. This isn't a pass-fail test. Get that out of your mind. You're improving. The trouble is, though, many of us find ourselves as a prisoner of shame or fear. And we're seized by the grip of shame and fear, and the last thing we want is another test. We don't want to fail. And you've worked hard at being acceptable and successful, and you may believe that things are about as good as they'll get, but that's not true. It sounds optimistic, but it's really an anti-change mindset. The negative mindset, that anti-change mindset, says I cannot try because I may fail and I'm afraid of the rejection or ridicule. I would rather stay where I am. I've made it comfortable here. However, listen, nothing could be farther from the truth. You're not happy where you are, or you wouldn't be taking this course. You wouldn't be reading this book. And your view of ridicule, listen, your view of ridicule is very overstated. You're not going to be banished or annihilated if you don't succeed the first time. If someone mocks you, you're not going to die. You're not going to die because someone ridicules you. Listen, you're trying to change. That's something to be proud of. Don't worry about someone that mocks you because of that. You're not going to die from that. You know, you can be an inventor, and let's invent ways of overcoming and keep going forward. Or here's another one, be your own detective. I love Sherlock Holmes. I love detective stories. And, you know, he was perhaps the most iconic and certainly the most recognized detective in modern literature. And I think what compels me the most is his skill that he had, in which he deduces facts based on careful observation and a rigorous thought process. And I find that deductive reasoning just fascinating. And we need to have that if we're going to overcome triggers. We need to develop that Holmesian kind of powers of observation and deductive reasoning if we're going to avoid the fallacies of thinking that this famous character, Sherlock Holmes, alludes. We're going to have to look for, listen, clues, our motives, and our modus operandum, what we're doing. You know, we can look for those clues. What is it? What's triggering me here? What's my motive? Why am I going to do this? What's it triggering me? What am I gaining? And what am I doing? How did this happen? Where am I going when I find these triggers? And so we want to look at all that. And in a sense, you want to hire yourself to be your own detective. You want to be your own detective, just as if your client's life depended upon it. And guess what? Yours does. Just as if you love the client that you're going to serve, and guess what? You should love yourself enough to do this. And here's the key. You need to be the best detective possible, as if your life does depend upon it, right? And you can do this. You can be your own detective. And then the one that's dear to my heart is be your own change agent. A change agent not only sees what is, they envision what can be. And, you know, my purpose is to help you become a change agent. And they see what things that could be better, and they pursue them. And a change agent knows that things are there, things happen because of reasons. And we need to find those reasons. And some of the reasons, right, are triggers. And that's what we're going to talk about, how we can change our triggers. Change isn't easy. They know that. It's not easy necessarily turning around an ocean liner, but it's possible, and it can happen, and it does, and it must. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so we need to figure out how we can change our triggers.